Aggressions and distractions. Sorry, I'll get back to Wellington's victory in a moment. I just want to finish off here. So this is the first ever war game I ever bought. It must have been about 15, 16. My brothers went into playing it. I tried playing it myself, found it too dry. But it's the Desert War, which I've always found kind of fascination for. Drew all over the maps, converting them into maps for use in ogre games. But anyway, I'd like to get into those, play them at least once properly. Now I have a renewed appreciation for those old classics. Seventh Fleet, again I've had that for ages, haven't really had a chance to play it. I'd like to do that. This is the Arab-Israeli Wars, which is the Panzer Leader, Panzer Blitz system, sort of kind of in its last incarnation, which is sort of improved. I think it solves the Panzerbusch syndrome. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, I'd like to play those. This Accursed Civil War, that's my most recent acquisition. So that goes along with my love of tactical gunpowder era games. That would be, I've just finished a history of the three civil wars. I didn't realise it was historically it was really considered three civil wars all rolled into one. It's called the War of the Three Kingdoms or something like that. The book, excellent book, gave me a lot of background on what happened and even the aftermath and how Cromwell became king in all but name. And then lastly, King of Angels. Now this is a bit of a, is the bugbear the right word? It's a bit of, oh sorry, I should get to these. Europe Engulfed, I want to save that one till last. Europe Engulfed, again, got that ages ago, never had a chance to play it properly. It's an interesting one because it's area block game and the areas are kind of huge, so I can't remember exactly, but you might get, say, 2 areas for the whole of Germany, maybe 3 as an example. So there's a lot more going on apart from the manoeuvre and movement. So that would be very interesting. Again, difficult to play solo, being a block game with hidden information. This one is Main Battle Area by Omega Games. I like every Omega game that I've had, which is Ranger, Eastern Front Solitaire, and this one I have played it a little bit, but it's got quite a few scenarios. I'd like to play a bigger one, so I just, again, sort of tried the system out. I'd like to get into that. Modern Tactical Combat in Europe. So it's being re-released and being done up. So it's obviously, although this is from the 90s, I believe, it's obviously a system that holds up today. Then we have Their Finest Hour, which is a Europa series game. Now, I mentioned Narvik, which is kind of Europa light in a way. It isn't totally the full Europa system. I want to get into Europa because I think there's a lot of promise in that game as a sandbox for the Second World War, because it gives you the whole orders of battle for the countries and you can just go at it. Apart from then you can play the sort of given scenarios. This is a Polish game which I bought when I was in Poland many years ago. Unfortunately, they do have a forum, the publishers. I don't have any plan. They do some English rules for some of their games. I believe it's part of a system, and this system, I believe, has English rules. It's Second World War, obviously. Warsaw, 1944. I don't know if these rules are translated. So I bought it mainly because I found it in like a record bookshop in the middle of not Warsaw, but another big city, and for what's it, 49 zloty. That was quite cheap, but I was just amazed that you can get in a hex encounter war game in what's the equivalent of the UK like Virgin Megastore, and I don't know, Borders or something like that for the Americans. So that's great. This is Wars of the Sierra Madre. Oh, and the Korean War. The Korean War came without the box. Obviously bought that second hand. That's a game which I've always wanted, but it's priced quite highly, so I jumped at the chance to get it cheaply because of being out of the box. Lords of the Sierra Madre. I don't know if this ever came in the box. Can't really see what it is there. Oh, there's the cards. I have played that before, quite a long game, and it can be a very long game. And I kind of enjoyed it, but I played it more as a battle game. without getting into the economics aspect of it. So I'd like to put out there to that's really what it's about more. This is La Batale. What's it called? I've forgotten the name. De Vauchamps. So that's going to be great. I know, because I got that for the rules, because I really like the Marshall Enterprises current edition of the La Batale rules, because they're simple, but the ones they release on their website, and I suppose through their really extremely expensively priced mega games, are terrible. There's flat out contradictions, huge gaps, great ambiguities, and you just have to fill it up with house rules, much like Blood and the Tigress, to make it playable. This was edited by people outside that side, because I believe the Messrs. Spore and Co, they're just happy old gents that they don't need to please anybody. They're just playing to the collectors, and they know the rules. They can't be bothered to edit them so that others know them. Bit annoying, but anyway, so in this, because the rules are edited for this magazine, I hope that they're going to be playable as given, and it will fill in the gaps, and I can compare them with what I tried when I played Talavera L'Espagnol, which was great fun. So Lawrence of Arabia, that'd be great. I've been meaning to play that for ages. That would be quite light. France 1944. That's Mark Herman design. That's going to be interesting. Triumph of Chaos. This was a game I knew I had to get when it came out. Even though it's a card-driven game, I still think it's going to be fantastic. I've tried it a little bit, but it's kind of heavy to get into. So I need the time and the space. You can tell a lot of these are kind of monsters or semi-monsters that will need a lot of dedication to get into. Which brings me finally to Killer Angels. This is an oddity, but is designed by a woman and designed essentially as a PhD thesis. I'd always been looking for a cheap copy. I finally found one. She was, I think, one of the directors of West End Games, and so released her own war game. And it's great. I think it gets kind of bad press because people say, oh, it's just a game in logistics, which is part of her study was how was the campaign possible and how difficult was it and so forth. She wasn't concentrating on who the generals were and what units fought where. That's all, I believe, historically well researched and correct in those terms. But you get the basic rules, advanced rules, and then campaign rules. So you can build up from the basic rules, and they look. I skimmed through it. They look not too complicated, and it's essentially operational. And you have leaders and off-map boxes for the units and under the leader counter. So the leaders are on the board, on the map sheet, and the units are off-map. And you can have, sort of up to strength of like 150, 80, 90 in a hex, battling it out, or even between like 1 and 5. So you have leaders and pickets on the board. So it's going to be a lot about manoeuvre, and according to designers' notes, or at least players' notes in the basic game, you have to make use of your cavalry and your pickets to screen and so forth. You have marching to sound of guns and things like that, battles lasting more than a day, because it needed to recreate Gettysburg well, but mainly it's about the campaign around that. So we've got Fredericksburg here, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Harper's Ferry, Winchester, Alexander, Washington here. So I'm really looking forward to it because I love finding these things that are not well considered and playing them out and trying to find what is good about them, because I say I always believe, but you know, some games are just terrible. There's one I'll give an example of, but I don't think I've got the box handy. No. But the others, I think, many games, and I think this is going to be one, is that they're not your regular thing, and they maybe demand a bit more attention of a certain type. And in fact, a review that I have subsequently read on this game gave it a lot of praise from the time back in the day, 1984. You've got John Southard in there, Greg Kosteniak. So, you know, some recognisable names from the industry. Eric Goldberg. But other people more knowledgeable will probably recognise more names. Seem to recognise David Kaufman. So, you know, there's not fools that involved in this game, and I want to find out what it's about. You know, what was she trying to do, and perhaps what she was trying to do was so different. I mean, okay, it was a PhD thesis. It had to be a game, yes, but she wasn't really pandering to a crowd. What is it she's trying to do? How does she do it? And can I get inside that and find the love for this game? And I just love it because of the name. I loved it from the name when I first heard it, not knowing it came from the famous book until later, but it just sounded great. Killer Angels. Very evocative. Yeah, so huge digression, just to get back to Wellington's victory. Sorry, but you know, this is what it is. So I'm finishing this. I don't think I really need to go into more detail because people in the future may be watching these videos subsequently, but at the moment I can't really remember. I sort of struggle to remember where I was a week ago before going on holiday and where we are now. But I think I already described it in the first video. The thing is that the French, they are on the cusp of victory. You see, the Anglo-Allied reserves are in, and essentially they sent them around here, and that is what counted. There's 2 brigades unactivated here. Sending the Anglo-Allied reserves in, those brigades had to be committed, and they chose to form up defensively, effectively saying, okay, you know, come on, attack us, we'll bloody you so badly whilst trouncing you over there that we're going to collapse your army. But at the current rate, I think losses would be even, and on that score the Anglo-Allies would sort of limp home to a victory. So we are ending it there, but interesting situation in this kind of horseshoe defensive formation that the French have formed, and it's going to be very informative for when I play the full battle, because essentially the French got to the top of the ridgeline here and stalled because there's this big open space there. They had to wait to bring their guns up, and then they've just got some cavalry up here. Really, they then needed to, you know, sort of send men forward, essentially to feed these fresh brigades forward, cavalry, and after a bit of artillery softening up, and but the Anglos, they actually moved back, so they had most of them fallen back behind a line there, out of line of fire. So the French attack stalled, and they were just gathering for their last thrust there. But as I said, the cavalry that flanked round were stalemated by the British cavalry, and I think that neither would gain great advantage there. Essentially, there's more French units, but some of the British cavalry units are stronger, especially now there's been some losses. So, end of scenario, end of Wellington's victory for now. I think come the autumn, I'm going to leave it on the table because I'm not going to let it go away from me. I'll probably set up on a quiet evening, set up Pap a lot, but I won't be playing it out. I'm really keen to. I think the system's great, and I haven't managed to work out how to use the cavalry effectively. I'm still getting used to moving up the guns, just seeing how to use the guns. It's difficult. It is difficult. No one said tactical warfare was easy. But yeah, so instructional for me in that how can the French get past that point? I believe I said actually in one of my previous videos, I should have spent longer in the artillery barrage at the beginning, so weakened the Anglo-Allied forces more, and then so that would have taken longer, given us time to get up here and then concentrate the effort, because essentially I divided the effort between here and here. These were just, I had to clear out Haye Sainte there so that, for example, artillery and other units could move up through there. Otherwise it would have taken longer to move around through here. It would have taken too long. So we needed that road, needed to clear that out. So that was a necessary action as well. And then with the British counter-attack, my reserves, as the French were engaged and not usable to exploit any attack here. The problem was that the Allies had brought up cannon here, and infantry, no one wants to advance through the open against cannon. I would have, as the French commander, I would have mustered some more skirmishers. I had released some from these brigades once they got committed, but they got absorbed in that. They would have gone up here, moved forward, flooded the guns, cavalry would have charged past perhaps, the infantry would have come up in line, and I should have concentrated effort there, but I thought I saw an opening there. Fatal mistake. And so that's the end of Wellington's victory for now. I don't know what I will film next. I don't know what I'm going to play next time. I might not film what I'll play, but I probably will. And I think, it's actually, I know it's going to be. It's going to be Friedland. To try that out. So I will do a video on that, because I think it'd be interesting just to document. I'm not going to say a failed system, because from what I've seen of it, it looks promising. I guess there was perhaps flaws that came out in the play of it that meant it didn't go forwards. I must read up on Consimworld. I don't think there's much of anything on Board Game Geek about that. And any reviews that I can find on grognard.com. Anyway, so so that's what will be next. Don't know when, don't know how. We're going away again for about 4 or 5 days at the end of this week. So just in case anyone was, don't hold your breath for now. So I'll enjoy chatting about this stuff another time later. Ciao for now.